Hey guys, welcome back to Football Index Moneyball. Today I've got the next pick of the day video series for you, but with a bit of a twist and an added bonus in that I'm going to talk through one of my sell decisions in order to fund my purchase of the next pick of the day. Now for me personally, there's only two reasons I ever sell a player, and those are either because I feel a player is overvalued, so I look for alternatives with better profit potential, or if I find a player that I really believe in and I want to buy quickly, forcing me to try and find the players that I have the least confidence in my portfolio and then sell them off to fund the purchase. Now, for today's sale, the reasoning is a combination of both of these things. So first up, the player I'm looking to sell is Referral Embolo. He plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach and also for Switzerland. There's a number of reasons that I think now is the right time to sell, the main one being that Switzerland are playing today against Gibraltar and the game's about to kick off. We can see that Referral is one of the top price rises in the squad players today with an increase of 7p. If we look at his 1 month graph, you can see he's actually had a rise of just over 40% from 70p in the last month. Now this is a great example of short-term sentiment having a major effect on a player's price. These are the opportunities I always look for when looking to sell a player. Now I'm not saying that Referral is at the top of his price here. In fact, I expect he'll probably go up a little bit more in the early stages of this season and probably settle somewhere around £1.30 to £1.50 unless he has a real breakout year and scores 10 to 15 goals. But I think there are better options out there, and having found one that I think offers more potential and a proven track record playing at a bigger club in the Champions League, I'm going to use this opportunity to cash in now and leave a little profit on the table in hopes of earning more elsewhere. So here I've jumped over to my portfolio and you can see I got 735 shares of Referral at 49p last year. And this is a good example of the kind of players that I'm now tipping in the pick of the day series. I try and find players who don't have any sentiment behind them right now. They're not really on form, they're not playing for the team. And that's exactly the position Referral was in. He wasn't really scoring many goals, but he had a lot of potential. And I thought that if he did ever find that form, he was going to go up in value pretty quickly, which is what's actually happened. So now that my thesis has worked out, and I've made nearly 150% profit, I think it's a good time to sell. And I also think the fact that he's playing in the game means that there's a good chance I'll be able to sell him in the sell queue rather than having to take a quick sell. And my strategy for this is I'm just going to put him in the sell queue. I know I'm probably going to miss out on a little bit of extra profit if he was to score 2 or 3 goals, which there is definitely a chance of, but it's a small percentage. If he goes up 5p and if he gets 3 goals, I'm not eligible for IPDs, so I probably could miss out on 5 to 10p, which is, just under 10%, and I think it's a risk I'm willing to take considering that the instant sell price has got a 4p spread. I think it's better to just try and be sure that I do get out of the position in time to buy the player that I'm looking at. This is something I just wanted to show you just to give you an idea of what can happen with some of the players you pick when you're trying to find players who are overlooked and undervalued. It can be a long wait and you've got to be patient, but I think Referral's a good example because he can show that patience will pay off, or should pay off in the end. So we can see here that I bought him between the 4th of October and the 31st of October. And I added to my position over time as the price changed. I got him around 49p average. And now I've come back over to Football Index Edge. If any of you are not aware of Football Index Edge, it's a great statistics platform. I'll put a referral link down in the description below. But what I've basically done here is I've filtered the master stats table to just show Referral Embolo. I can see he's not won any match day dividends, he's not won any media dividends. Here we have all his price movements, but what I'm interested in is his price graph. So I bought him here, like October 29, and you can see that after I bought him, he did sink down to 42. So I was losing money on this player for quite a significant amount of time, 4 or 5 months. He then had a bit of a bump, then came back down, and then it's been a bit of a wild ride since, with a lot of rises, lots of falls, and then now you can see he's just really took off in the last month or so. So as with all my picks, I usually try and pick players that are out of favour, but that doesn't mean they're going to be out of favour forever, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. I don't mind if a player stays low. Usually I'll try and take that opportunity to buy. I think with Referral, I wasn't as confident in him, and I'd got quite a significant holding anyway, and I thought that it was too much to risk. One more thing I just wanted to show you. This is one of my favourite features on Transfermarkt, and that is it shows every game that Referral Embolo was not involved in or played in from last season. And you can see here, he started the season, he got 1 goal, had a few appearances, and then he was benched on the 29th of September. So that's around when I started buying. He then was a substitute for 2 minutes and then not in the squad. So you can see this is really where I started buying him. Then he started playing again and then he got injured. So that was where I kind of stopped purchasing and just left it. I was pretty confident, so I didn't bother selling. I actually kept my holding, didn't sell any of my shares of him until now. So I just thought that was worth a look. So anyway, let's get back to the player pick of the day. You can see here, I've actually got rid of Summer Breel already. The game's currently 3-0, but he hasn't actually had any involvement in the goals. So while I wait for the rest of that to go through, today's pick is here, Maxi Gomez. He's a Uruguayan striker who plays for Valencia. They signed him from Celta Vigo this summer for 13 million plus Santi Mina, who's another one of their young strikers. He's an international for Uruguay, but he didn't actually get any minutes in this summer's Copa America with Luis Suarez up front for them. And if you look at his 12-month graph here, we can see that he was at 82p or 83p last season at the beginning of the season, and now he's at £1.7. So that's not much growth really, especially when you consider that Maxi got 13 goals and 5 assists in 35 games last season as a 22-year-old in La Liga playing for Celta Vigo, who are not one of the kind of top teams traditionally. So now he's at Valencia and he's going to be playing in the Champions League. I see a lot of potential for growth in his price. Now, I'm not really an advocate of waiting to buy a player to try and gain in-play dividends, but if you were to buy this guy on Tuesday, on the 11th of September, he would be eligible for 6 games, including the last game versus Ajax in the Champions League. There are games against Barcelona and Chelsea in that time. I'm not sure if he's going to start in any of those games, but I definitely think if he scored a couple against Chelsea or Barcelona, you would see an immediate rise in price. So I'm investing now because he started the season on the bench and I think it's a matter of time. To finish up, I'm going to take a look at my player comparison and expected return sheet. I have Maxi and Breel in the top left there to make sure that my decision to sell one for the other is the right one. Then I've got 2 Brazilians, Joelinton at Newcastle and Pedro Guilherme, who just signed for Fiorentina. Both of these players are more expensive and had worse goal scoring records last season, and neither will play in Europe, so I would say that Maxi definitely came out as the better option. For the low price target, I used Lautaro Martinez at Inter. He scored 6 goals and got 2 assists last season, but he's a year younger. I think this is the price I would have expected to see Maxi at now, really. So I think it's a solid low target. Then we have Moussa Dembele, who got 15 goals and 5 assists, so a slightly better return than Maxi in his first season at Lyon. But having said that, Maxi got 18 goals in 17-18, so it's feasible that he could outperform Moussa this season if he gets the game time at Valencia. Then for the top target, I've gone for Timo Werner. Now, he started like a rocket this season and got a hat-trick last week, so his price is rightfully a lot higher than Maxi's. But it's a good comparison for if Maxi was to improve on his last 2 seasons' return and make some headlines this year with his performances. Timo and Moussa are both European though, so they could feature in the Euro qualifiers or the finals for their countries, which gives them a bit more of a premium price. As with my last pick of the day though, I haven't factored any growth of the index into my targets, so that's my margin for error to accommodate the fact that they're not going to be playing in the Euro qualifiers. I like to be conservative with my dividend estimates, so I've just gone for 1p in in-play dividends, and if he was to win the PB or any more than that, it would just be a bonus. Having factored all those in, you can see the figures in yellow for my profit range. If Maxi gets back to his peak price, then we would see a 26% profit. Our low target gives us 38%, the mid is 76.6%, which I think is probably the most likely return, and I'd be pretty happy if we hit that in 7 or 8 months. Then the top target would give us close to 150% return, which is similar to what we got on Breel Embolo from last year's trade. This really isn't too ambitious of a target if you consider Maxi's form over the last 2 years. If he can replicate that or improve on it, then he'd have a good shot of getting up to that kind of price. So that's all I've got for you today. I'd love to hear any feedback in the comments. You can also find me on Twitter. If you wanted to follow me on there, you can search @IndexMoneyball. If you're not signed up for Football Index yet and you'd like to support the channel, then there's a referral link in the description below, and there's also a referral link for Football Index Edge, as I talked about earlier. Finally, if you've enjoyed the video and you haven't already, then please like and subscribe. And if you want to be notified when new videos come out, you can hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching and good luck on the index.